the space of data science, right? There are so many positions out there. It's still a very competitive field, even though there are statistics that say there's so many data scientists in demand. But then when you're a data scientist or just finished some kind of boot camp, people still struggle to find a role. So first I want to get into kind of why you think that is, and then get into what can people do to actually stand out from that crowd.
One thing that I found out in this kind of bootcamp courses is it's more about just learning a specific pattern. But in industries, you want something more than that, probably implementing more end-to-end projects. That is what industries are actually looking at. Now, I myself am working in iNeuron. Over there also, we focus on finding people who know at least some end-to-end projects. We then never see that the person needs to be at least 5 years or 6 years experience. If the person has the caliber to implement something by its own completely end-to-end, we are pretty much happy to hire him because that is what we are actually looking at. Yes, other subjects, other things that people usually learn, they're pretty much good in statistics and all, but when it comes to implementation, that is the thing that they are actually lagging in. That is the reason why many people do not get called. And the same thing I usually preach in my YouTube channel also, which has helped many people with respect to that.
Yeah, so you mentioned having some sort of end-to-end project, and I think that is very powerful. And what I've seen some people struggle with is, let's say they finish their educational part of data science or whatever program they went through, they have trouble proving that they can do an end-to-end project because companies won't hire them to do this project because they don't have experience. So it's kind of this chicken or egg situation. How do you recommend folks go ahead and get that experience without having any experience?
I think this is a very important question. I thank you for bringing out this. Let me tell with respect to a fresher and an experienced person can go into this particular field. Suppose if I consider them, the previous experience, whatever projects they have actually done, they just after learning data science, they need to think whether they can bring some modules within their previous project and try to develop a POC, proof of concept project. Once they are able to develop that, they'll get an idea to develop an end-to-end solution because they have already developed a solution where they need to integrate a specific AI module. If an experienced person is able to do that, probably in the upcoming, whatever roles he'll be getting, he'll be able to do those kind of projects. Now, with respect to freshers, what they do is that they're very much good at Kaggle competition, hackathons and all, right? Why not convert that Kaggle or hackathon competition completely as an end? That is the thing that I usually say most of the freshers. Now they know from where the data source is coming. I know that they're trying to take up the data from Kaggle. And again, there are more third-party APIs to provide you similar kind of data. So why not just create a pipeline and probably convert that same project where you have got some amazing rank in Kaggle or hackathon into an end-to-end project and showcase that particular information in your resume. Why will the recruiter not be impressed? I'll be impressed. I'll definitely be impressed.
Yeah,
So that is the thing
yeah,
that I
I definitely agree with you. I think that hackathons and Kaggles provide a really good opportunity for individuals who might not have that hands-on experience. And you mentioned showcasing this on your resume. So I think it's good for us to get into this question from Amartya. He was asking how to make an attractive resume. Maybe incorporate how do we showcase all of these end-to-end projects on that resume.
So nowadays, since
So
you
starting,
have, yep, yep. Nowadays, with respect to the resume, there's some key points I really want to talk about resume. Okay, what all things should be there right now whenever a recruiter wants to see? First of all, is your LinkedIn profile, your GitHub profile. Probably you're sharing your knowledge to the open source community, probably through blogging, YouTube channel. Probably whether are you contributing to the open source projects also. There are a lot of open source projects. I've seen so many freshers who are still in colleges and they're contributing in TensorFlow kind of open source project too. And if I see a resume which says, okay, this person is actually contributing, fixing some of the issues in TensorFlow, I'll definitely hire him. I say that, okay, you're good at that. You've fixed 5 to 6 issues. Why not to come and work in our company probably to implement something amazing? Yes, there will be some tests that I'll definitely take it out. But understanding in this way, I think these are the main things. And one very important thing is that how you are representing your projects in your resume, how you're explaining them. See, whenever you're probably searching for jobs in LinkedIn, probably if the recruiter is searching for any candidate profiles, SEO plays a very important role, right? In whichever job website maybe, right? Now, if you're trying to if you're trying to create an amazing resume with all the key points, probably what the recruiter may be searching, when I say NLP, some more additional things with respect to NLP, computer vision, this topic, that topic. Now, that is the way that you should explain that specific project. And all the projects needs to be explained in an end-to-end manner. Consider the life cycle of a data science project till the deployment. He may have not played a very important role in the deployment, but at least every part where he has actually worked, some liner should be there about him. That is the main key points I think should be there.
Yeah, and you mentioned words like NLP, and I wanted to touch on getting those keywords because right now there are these applicant tracking systems, the ATS, that take your resume and pass it through a system, and a human might not even read it
Yes.
ever or until it passes the system. So, what tips do you have for bypassing that? Should people spam their own resume with 30 different keywords on there, or what are your suggestions?
Now, what I would suggest is that don't spam it, but at least after, suppose this week you have applied for 10 companies by seeing the roles in the LinkedIn probably or some other job profile. Then after 10 to 15 days, if you're not getting a response, try to change your resume a little bit. Try to add some more things, what you have learned in that 2 weeks. Try to get into it. Probably a recruiter may not be seeing your resume, even it is getting bypassed by the bot or whatever platform you have actually created to parse the resume probably. So just try to play with that. Resume is the main thing. If you are able to create an attractive resume, once you get the call, remaining all things, many people are capable to clear them. But right now, still, why people are not able to get it? They see that, okay, at least they're asking this many number of years of experience. I've seen a fresher getting 6 to 7 calls. And with respect to that, I've seen so many amazing resumes they have created. And at last, I found out that resume is the main thing. It is the entry level to get into any corporate world. Unless and until just if I want to know about you, how do I know? Through your resume. That is
Personally, Chris, I've not updated my resume in 10 years because I spent 8.5 years at one company and then I started my own right after. But I use LinkedIn. I view LinkedIn as my
yeah.
resume. Any new projects or new roles that I give myself these days as in my own company, I end up putting it on LinkedIn. So if I had to share a resume of some sort, I'd probably print out my profile or something like that. Maybe make it prettier.
Regarding LinkedIn, I'd like to add one more point is that
Yeah, go.
LinkedIn, it's not just about getting job roles and all, right? There you'll be able to get a lot of consultancy work also. If you have an amazing LinkedIn profile where people are actually endorsing you for the kind of work you're sharing knowledge over there, probably what I do after creating every video in my YouTube channel, I post in the LinkedIn because I really want people to see over there because many people are more involved also in LinkedIn, probably communicating with the people, trying to see some other profiles, some trying to see some kind of jobs and all. If they're able to see that, definitely people will be visiting you. Trust me, right now, if I see my LinkedIn, right? From the last 1 month, 30,528 people have visited my profile. Just imagine.
Yeah,
This is the power of LinkedIn. And I usually get a lot of opportunities through LinkedIn also, which I do not take right now because I'm pretty much involved in other work. But in my previous company, I used to get a lot of consultancy work, freelancing work, which used to be amazingly paid. And trust me, like LinkedIn is an amazing platform. In this past couple of years, LinkedIn, where it was and where it is now, is completely different. Because I've been using LinkedIn platform from past 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree that a strong profile is very powerful. And I think what you mentioned about actually posting videos, it's very important to actually put content out there that attracts people to your profile because it's like having the best retail store ever, but your doors are closed. If you're not putting out content, people are not going to come in and look at you. So very good points. We had a follow-up question on the resume from Yamini, who's saying, good point. If possible, can you share how to market the POC on a resume? Do you think POCs are looked at by companies?
Yes. If I take my company as an example, we definitely see some POCs. We have hired recently 3 to 4 people because they were able to develop some application and they just sent us that specific application, a working application. And we hired them directly because they were able to package the entire analytics solution together. Now, regarding POCs and all, I'll definitely make a video in my YouTube channel. I've done that, how to represent the POC things and all. Like recently, I created a face recognition attendance system. Okay. Just a POC project, an end-to-end POC project. And I told them, that, okay, include this kind of projects. And some of the subscribers who had included that in the interview, they had asked regarding that same thing. They needed to understand how it was implemented. Yes, sir. with respect to the resume, also, I can show them POC probably in some of my YouTube live sessions. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I remember when I was actually looking around for data science roles and interviewing, I put together a very brief resume. And I remember I put a really big headline on top that said obsessed with data science. And it actually attracted a lot of potential employers because they're like, we don't care that you don't know SQL yet. We don't care that you can't really write code to save your life. But because you're obsessed with it, we want to teach you. So I think showing that you're passionate about something can also go a long way. It probably won't help you with the tracking system that's going to eat your profile, eat your resume and spit out some data, but it could be powerful maybe on your LinkedIn profile as well if you want to use something
Yeah.
creative like that.
Yeah. Really.
Okay, there was a question here from Chapradar who's saying, what is the best way to make a transition into data science for non-IT people?
Okay. First of all, definitely this kind of videos I've made a lot in my English channel. Why I'll tell you, because first of all, first point to non-IT people, I want to definitely say that stop listening to others. Some people who say that you will not be able to make a transition probably into IT section. You can become a data analyst easily. Okay. Now, non-IT people are those people who like who are non-programmers, I say, okay, who are non-programmers, but they are working in some domains, some field, which is very much important. That domain knowledge is very much important. And if you now learn programming, if you learn the techniques of data science, if you learn the techniques of data analysis, or if you learn any business intelligence tools also, you'll be able to use your domain knowledge. So what I would suggest is that never listen to others who say that you cannot make a switch. I have seen, I'm going to make a video tomorrow. In this last, okay, I'll just say in this last 3 months, there are more than 10 people who have communicated to me who are non-programmers who have made a successful switch to data science. I'm not talking about data analyst, to data science. And now they are successfully working over there. So the main thing is that you really need to focus on your domain knowledge. You need to focus on learning data science technique properly. Your previous experience will also be very high. That is what I really want, because domain expertise is the main thing in a data science field. Whenever you're working in any work, without domain experience, you cannot. Trust me, you cannot. When I was working, because of the bad domain expertise people, we have like literally 3 projects got failed when I was working in the railway industry.
Well, yeah, I actually think I ran a poll at some point on LinkedIn whether it's more difficult for a data scientist to learn to get domain experience or somebody who's coming, let's say, from finance who wants to become a data scientist. And for the most part, people said it's easier to pick up the data science skills than it is to get that domain experience and understanding of kind of what the problems are in that space, because it tends to take longer. It's less defined, right? There's no textbook that says, oh, here are all the business problems that you can face in finance world. You have to be on the ground and working. So very good point. I hope that motivates some of the non-data folks to let them know that you can still make it. Don't listen to others, as Christian. The other question I had for you in terms of resumes, we keep talking about soft skills and how they're very important. The communication skills are very important. It's usually easier for the technical folks to learn all the technical skills, but how do we learn those communication skills? And then how do we actually showcase that we're good communicators on our resume?
Okay. Now, as we say that, yes, definitely some of the technical skills we must learn, and there are also some non-technical skills we must learn. One is with respect to data storytelling. How do you tell regarding the project that you have actually did? Because this is the most important thing in an interview. Okay. If someone asks you, tell me about yourself, what you have done in your company, what you have done in your previous company, you should be able to tell them like how you have actually implemented the entire project. For this communication skill is a very important thing, and which I see many people lacking that. They are knowledgeable, they know anything. You just tell them any technical solution, they'll try to implement it as soon as possible. But when it comes to representing their idea in front of a people, they are not able to do it. And this is very much important. You have to represent your idea in front of the stakeholders. Then only you will be considered an actual data scientist, because you are able to find out some solutions, right? It's not like you're just like a developer as a data scientist. A data scientist does many work, analyzing, understanding, telling the stakeholders, giving a lot of reports to the stakeholders, what conclusion they are coming up with. And I really want to talk about one more point. Many people think data science is all about model building, machine learning model building. No, it is not about that. You really need to do a lot of things. You need to convince the stakeholder why you're going to this particular approach. If you're not able to convince, that project will go for 5 to 6 years and you'll be still working over there and you'll not be able to learn anything. That is the thing that I convey.
Yeah, completely agree with everything you said. And just a follow-up question is, how can data scientists learn these soft skills? How can they become better at communicating? Is it just practice, or are there tools out there that they can go and resources that they can refer to?
So I'll just tell out my way. Before, I used to not speak this much like how I'm speaking it right now. I used to shiver when I used to talk or give a presentation in front of everyone. Definitely, YouTube helped me out. One way is YouTube channel. Try to create videos. Try to like blogs. When you're writing blogs, the words that you'll bring out in explaining a specific thing, definitely. And try to make a one friend who will never laugh on your mistakes. So that you just try to go and pitch your idea in front of him. He should not laugh at you. Instead, he should support you. So those kind of friends are also required in this field so that you'll be able to practice along with them. But teaching is one important skill that I would suggest if you really want to improve your data storytelling. Definitely. If I'm able to make, if I'm able to teach a topic in data science, I'm able to make them understand, make people understand.
Yeah.
That you can understand that this is the most important skill that you require right now.
Thank you so much for that. We have two questions that are somewhat on the same topic, so I'll read them both out. One for Rakesh is: are internships important for getting data science jobs and
Sure.
beginners? And what are your thoughts on paid versus unpaid internships?
Okay. So if I talk about internship for a fresher specifically, now still what I feel is that unless and until in India, you have a lot of different tier colleges, like tier A college, tier one colleges, tier two colleges. So if you're from tier one, probably tier two, there are companies which are coming to hire in your college to directly put you in data science role and all. Specifically, people who are from tier three colleges, they provide the companies usually come for software engineering. Unless and until they don't have a specific requirement, they'll not hire you. But for a fresher, definitely see data science work is pretty much difficult. Okay. Why I'm saying you difficult? Because you require a lot of knowledge. And I've seen that yes, many freshers will not be given a data science role at the initial time itself. But yes, if a company has seen that you have done some kind of internship from any other companies when you're still in college, or probably after you pass out from your college, they will have more confidence. Okay, I'll just give you one statistic that we have 40 people in IDRON. So it is a team of 40 people. More than 20 people are freshers who are given as a junior data science role. Why they were given? Because they had already an experience of internship from somewhere, probably from IDRON, from somewhere. They had done some specific kind of internship and we hired them because we could see some kind of thing that they were very much passionate to do something. So what I would suggest is that internship, you should try to get as soon as possible, probably whenever you're in a college days itself. That will be very much handy. That will actually add your experience in your resume itself with respect to that. And the other thing with respect to paid versus unpaid internship, see, the thing is that with respect to paid versus unpaid, yes, I've seen many companies giving unpaid internship also, and many people do it just to get some experience, which usually people say that for a fresher, you require at least this many years of experience. So I've seen that, but what I would try to say is that in this situation, you should try to tell the recruiter, tell the company that yes, you deserve this. You need to get a paid internship because they are able to work this much knowledge. You will be able to contribute to this many projects. That is what I would like to suggest. Otherwise, it is not necessary to fight with the company and all. They'll try to hire someone else instead of convincing.
How about from your personal experience? Did you have internships, and were they paid or unpaid? If you're willing to
No,
share.
no. So if we are, see, we have courses, like in Iron, we have courses. Along with the courses, we have included internship. Okay. If in that internship, and that internship is somewhere around 2 to 3 months, if they perform well in that internship, we give them additional 6 months internship and we pay them there. So they need to see whether a candidate is able to do or not. And in our company, we definitely pay all the interns. As soon as they complete reports like that.
That's really great. Thank you for sharing that. Shifting gears with Rohan, he's asking, do you recommend a master's in data science?
With respect to this question, it depends on two things. What is your main interest? Whether you want to go with probably after a specific degree, you can definitely become a citizen data scientist. Okay, there is a difference between a citizen data scientist and probably a data scientist. A citizen data scientist basically solves the business use cases with all the algorithms that are already been developed. Okay, like what most of the data scientists are trying to do within the companies, probably a classification, regression, supervised, unsupervised problem statement they're trying to solve. But if you're planning to go for research, definitely go for masters, go for PhD, because there are so many research papers that are coming up on day-to-day basis. And definitely it depends on your financial condition also. I had also planned to go for higher studies, but I could not because of financial conditions. I had to stop there. But I fulfilled my dream through this particular way.
I had a similar journey. It wasn't the data science, it was actually finance and business, where I just graduated my undergrad and decided I wanted to get an MBA. And I took one semester. I got into school that I wanted. I took one semester and decided that I already have a job. What's the point of this? I didn't go through with it. But if you want to specialize in something, like you mentioned, I think a master's could be beneficial. But I'm pretty sure you could get a job these days without. I think experience a lot of times trumps your degree. So it depends. Companies are shifting. All right. A question here from or not. So learning data science, doing academic projects and building data science portfolio. He's confused to make a decision on the target role. You have a suggestion. So I guess what should be target role here?
Okay, now many people should not get confused by the roles also that are provided in data science industry. Sometimes you may get a software engineering job, but the work that you'll be doing will be with respect to data science project. It is not like you'll not be doing data science project. Now, why this kind of rules comes? Because it is the company pattern, so that they'll be able to give the promotion, they'll be able to continue that support of the hierarchy that they have actually kept in the company. Unless and until you're satisfied with the work, you should not worry about the rules.
Yes, I think I have a personal theory here where job titles and role descriptions sometimes vary for different reasons, right? You might have a data science job with maybe a data analyst job description, and that's to attract individuals. And then sometimes they flip it where it's a data analyst job with data science description. And that I think is sometimes for companies to get to pay you less than they would if the job title was data scientist. So I definitely always recommend forget the job title and look at the role description and see what exactly will you be doing day to day. And are those your goals and will those skill sets help you progress in your career? Let's see. Question. We have so many questions here. March is asking, what type of projects do you recommend for data analysts, data scientists? Should he focus on learning artificial intelligence, deep learning? Are those aspects?
See, with respect to the projects, try to consider taking an interesting domain problem statement, probably a finance, probably e-commerce, retail, sales. And whether it is with respect to data analyst or data analyst, you should know what all activities or work that a data analyst specifically do. Probably analyzing the data, creating some business reports, providing it to the stakeholder. That all things can be done as a data analyst. But with respect to a data scientist, nowadays data scientists, both machine learning and deep learning are very important. You really need to learn deep learning also because nowadays the competition is very, very much high. So companies are looking at people who knows both machine learning and deep learning. And whichever domain you have actually selected, if you're trying to do with machine learning also, see if there is if you can actually also do with the deep learning also and provide all the performance metrics that you have actually calculated with respect to the things you have actually done. Okay, that is what I would like to suggest. But always remember, focus on the domain project. Okay, it is not like any project. I'll tell you what had happened in my previous company. I got a where people had written Titanic dataset project in their resume. Just imagine what should I do with that. So that's that type of things that happened.
For both, you can.
Yeah. But I was like, what you're going to do with this use case? What is the thing that you did in this? So it was just a practice project. Why you have written this in your resume? I just asked.
Yeah. I think people want to showcase that they've done something, that they know something. But I think that Titanic one is a good way for people maybe to learn the skills, but then take those skills and apply them, like you said, to a specific domain project. We've got a really interesting question here. What is the secret of your energy to build videos, provide training in your organization, and update knowledge? How do you manage time efficiently? I can't wait to hear this.
Now, with respect to the specific question, I really like to share knowledge. I really love data science. I really love to learn things. I really like to share this specific knowledge, which is with respect to data science. If you tell me to create 10 videos in a day, I'll definitely do it. If you tell me to create, probably complete a course within 5 days every day, teaching 8 hours, I can definitely do that. So it is the kind of work that I'm doing. It really motivates me, provides me a lot of energy. So without drinking any Red Bull, I can actually take classes for 3 to 4 hours, not a problem.
So you don't drink Red Bull? That's not your secret then?
Red Bull first.
Awesome. So we were talking about roles a couple minutes ago. So, and then there's a question from Rakesh. Can you tell the basic differences between some of the roles like junior data scientist, senior data scientist?
So with respect to roles, I'll talk about roles in an entire data science. Let me start with requirement gathering. So in requirement gathering, a domain expertise person, a product owner, and a business analyst will write down the requirements, jot it down, and forward it to the data analytics team. Now, there in the data analytics teams, you have data analysts, you have data scientists, you have big data engineers, you have senior data scientists, you have lead data scientists, you have analytics manager, is the person who is handling all of them finally. And this is also a very rare role. Analytics manager right now, it is the highest paid role probably because there you need to have the knowledge of everything. A big data engineer cannot come and say that, okay, for this work, I may probably take 3 weeks when it can be done in 1 week. So
Yeah.
that time the analytics manager will definitely argue and tell that, no, you're just making me a fool. You can do it in 1 week. So that kind of role and work usually a data, uh, the analytics manager usually do. Now, considering this, what I would suggest is that if you consider a junior data scientist, a data scientist, as senior data, you will be revolving mostly on the life cycle of a data science project. As a junior data scientist, you will be given less roles and responsibilities. Probably you'll just be focusing on one pipeline, which engineer. As a senior data scientist, you probably need to lead the entire pipelines. You need to help the junior data scientist, probably or data analyst. You need to help them. So this kind of roles usually fluctuates with respect to the roles and responsibility. But in many companies nowadays, data scientist needs to do everything. Okay, I have done it. Trust me, in my previous company project, there were only two data scientists. One was junior data scientist. I was the senior data scientist over there. I had to do all the work. In short.
So senior data scientist basically has to do everything. And so that's what is coming up. And the more junior folks can focus on different sides of pieces of that pipeline. Awesome. Thank you. So Walid has a question here. Should you start with roles like data analyst and then move up step by step to the data scientist role, or should you just move toward a specific data science role? I'm assuming data scientist is the ultimate target here.
Okay. Now, if you're a non-technical person, non-programming background, I think you can take this specific path, first go towards data analyst and then to data science. But if you're already got programming background, going towards data scientist will also be fine. Why I'm saying for non-technical, non-programming background, because you need to learn programming properly. You need to understand what you are actually trying to provide to the stakeholders. So the transition from a non-technical background to data analyst will actually help you to do that. After that, when you're comfortable with all these things, you will become a very good friend of the data that you see. When you're good at that, then you can play around with the data towards data science. So
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we actually have another question on roles here. I know these roles sometimes get so fuzzy in people's minds. The difference between a machine learning engineer and data scientist.
so machine learning engineer is pretty much focused towards doing the deployments of the models in the cloud efficient. They probably will be having knowledge of multiple cloud platforms, let it be a AWS, Azure, Heroku, multiple platforms. They'll be focused in creating a CI/CD pipelines. But whereas as a data scientist, I told you, nowadays they put you in anything. So you can actually work as an ML engineer also, in short.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's a data scientist. Let's just give him everything.
Yeah, like that.
Question from Shruti here. She's doing a machine learning internship and she's asking, do you think this will add value to her resume if she adds it?
Definitely, it will add. If you're doing a research internship, definitely all this kind of experience will add. People will not stop writing even they have written a single line of blog. They'll put that thing in their resume also. Why not? You're doing some amazing work, right? So they should try.
Yeah, I think speaking of resumes, do you think there's such a thing as putting on too much? I've seen individuals who have maybe 1 or 2 years of experience and them having a 3-page resume because they're so good at highlighting all of their achievements. Oh, I wrote a blog here's the title. It takes up more space, and then it's like this nice 3-page resume. Do you think that's overkill?
No, I think 1 to 2 page should be sufficient. Like this, if I go with respect to 10 years experience, will I write each and every project to become a 10 pages? I think 1 to 2 pages is more than sufficient. You should be smart
Okay.
enough to actually put all your experience within that 1 to 2 pages.
Yeah, and I was gonna say is sometimes if you have, let's say, that 3-page resume, maybe for yourself to track what you've been up to, do you think it makes sense when you're applying to a specific job to pull from that resume just the relevant factors and maybe leave some stuff out? Maybe that Titanic project, maybe leave that one out and include something else.
Yeah, definitely. Many people do that. And that is the right point that everybody should actually follow that approach itself. Probably research about that specific company a little bit and then try to prepare a resume.
Hmm.
Will also work out.
Okay, so let's say we built the best resume, followed all the best practices, and now we have our very first interview. Yay, so exciting. It's our dream job. What are your tips for this individual who is interviewing for the very first time? They've maybe never interviewed in their life for anything before. What are some best practices and tips that you have?
The main secret of an interview is that to convince the recruiter of to work. Okay. Now, I will definitely go with suppose if I go for the interview, trust me, this particular question, tell me about yourself. This has derived my entire interview. Okay, this has derived, literally, I've cleared 3 to 4 interviews on this. Tell me about yourself. I've derived the whole interview after this. Now, how do I start? Okay, I have this many years of experience. I've done so and so project. Let me tell you about my recent project. Now, I started telling about my project. I told about the life cycle. Now, I am telling things which I'm actually comfortable at. And suddenly I put a pointer over there. I faced this difficulty problem in feature engineer. Then he was like, okay, what problem did you face? Okay, I gave him a problem statement. That this was the problem statement. And because of this, I was facing. Then he told, how did you solve it? Then I started telling about all the methodology that I followed in order to solve that particular problem. He's pretty much impressed. Then he told, okay, continue. What happened after that? So I derived the entire interview. I told the recruiter unknowingly that I am good at this. So you also follow along with me. Don't ask anything other than that. And this is the best way to clear the interview. Trust me, 3 interviews. Just in this question, I've derived it. Okay. And I usually tell everyone to follow this particular approach. It works out. And recently, many people, many freshers, many non-technical people have also cleared by just following this approach.
Wow, yeah, I never thought of it like that. It's a really good way to lead your interviewer into the direction that you want to go in versus them asking you questions. Um, what's your biggest weakness? Oh God, I hate that question. Okay, and then as part of the interview, do you think you should ask questions of the person who's hiring?
Ask questions regarding the person you are hiring.
Not meaning, let's say I'm the data scientist, I want to work for you. Should I ask you questions? Maybe at the end of the interview, a lot of times they say, "Do you have any questions for me?"
Yeah.
You have
So I'd suggest that just ask them like what kind of work they are doing, what kind of roles they are actually looking at. If they get hired, what kind of work they will be telling us. By this also you'll come to know whether you're hired or not. They'll say that, okay, if you're hired, probably they'll provide some description. You have to work in this team, that team. They'll give a positive response if your interview has gone. Otherwise, they'll say that we are working on this. Thank you. That's it. So there we can understand.
Yeah, I always ask them how long they've been with the company and kind of get what do you like about working here. Sometimes they really open up and get
Yeah.
personal because they also want to talk about themselves. Everyone wants to talk about themselves, whether they admit it or not. It's human nature. Okay, thank you for that. So, question here from Amina: should I mention only real projects or maybe some research projects as well as a potential employee?
Both can be mentioned. As I said, when you do a research project, it is more like a POC, proof of
Mhm.
concept. You are definitely defining a model. Probably that model has not been integrated and gone into life. But yes, that POC also counts. So they can actually mention both.
All right. And then I remember, so we talked about junior data scientist and senior data scientist, the differences between those two. How do you think junior data scientists can progress their career into a senior data science position? Let's say they have 3-4 years of experience at a lower level and now they really want a promotion or maybe want to hop to a different company to do that type of work.
So I'll tell my example. I became a data scientist to a senior data scientist after 2 years. Probably in that 2 years, I had worked in 4 different domains. So as you go on working in multiple domains, then you'll be able to lead a specific team, whether you have the domain knowledge or not, because you know the approach, how you're going to solve that specific problem. So my thing is that trying to cover up more and more projects with respect to different domain and how they are actually solving that particular. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, and I know. So you mentioned working across different domains. Which areas did you work in?
I worked in finance. I've also written a book on finance. I worked in e-commerce. I worked in logistic domain also. My task was basically to help the company logistic team to procure raw materials for the upcoming 6 months. You know? So raw material were basically with respect to tea crops. Okay, so this was the use case. Like for the upcoming 6 months, how much you need to procure so that it should not go into waste also. So a kind of forecasting, you can say, right? So those kind of activities, that was a large domain use case. Apart from that, yes, as I said, finance and e-commerce was one of them.
So across those domains, did you feel like you were able to leverage your, I guess, your experience and your skill sets easily across those domains? Just having to learn maybe the specific transition that you.
Initially, it will be very difficult. Definitely, you need to have a good domain expertise person also over there.
Okay.
We basically say them as a product owner. They'll be handling the project from past 10 years. So they'll be able to tell us what all things are there or not. And you need really to be a good friend of them when you're really working into a data science project. You really need to be a very good friend of domain expertise problem. Only go for a beer and all, go out with them, try to become the closest mates. Then only you'll be able to successfully implement the project itself.
I guess you could get a virtual beer these days. Sure. Maybe do a Super Bowl at least.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Moving on to Waleed. So if you had to choose the top three skills for overall data science roles, what would they be?
Skills, probably, let me talk about this. Like right now, NLP and vision is really amazing. The use cases are coming up with that. NLP, vision, definitely, these are the top two skills I'd suggest. If you're planning to learn machine learning or deep learning, always focus on these two skills. Third one can be anything you can pick up, anything as such. But NLP vision is must. A lot of use cases. A lot of companies have just created a simple product that is working on NLP engine completely. So I'd suggest
Okay.
to go with that.
All right. Thank you. All right. Question here. What software would you advocate for data analysis? What are you more comfortable with?
Programming languages, probably Python, R. R is a good programming language for data analysts. Probably use some business intelligence tool like Tableau, Power, probably some kind of databases like SQL, NoSQL, MongoDB. All this kind of things can be very handy when you're working as a data analyst.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Ravid's just here saying hi. So as you're sharing gold, I agree. I know we're going pretty fast and we're getting through as many questions as we can. So I appreciate you just answering every single thing I throw at you. Question here from Satya. Do we need to mention end-to-end ML projects in our resume? I think we started off with that.
Yeah.
Maybe Satya at the beginning of it, if you want to reiterate something what was said in the beginning.
Yeah. So they have to do it end-to-end projects is required.
Yeah. I think it's definitely powerful to showcase that you can take a project from the beginning to the end. It also, I think, allows you maybe as a beginner to get an understanding of which area you want to focus in and specialize, because a lot of times at bigger companies, you will be able to take projects end to end. You'll be part of the process. So I think it will at least expose you to what everybody else is working on. This question, at the beginning of your data science career, do you recommend focusing on one subject of a bunch, such as recommender systems, NLP, and you suggest?
No, as a beginner, you really need to learn all the techniques probably. And at the end, you should basically come up with a conclusion which you are actually interested in. Probably not to go just with NLP or vision, but initially you really need to know everything.
Great. Rabit has a question for you here. So who has been your inspiration behind iNeuron AI, and what's to come next in the company?
See, The inspiration behind starting iNeuron.ai is basically affordable education. We really need to go ahead with affordable education. And what we had seen, people people lack a lot of end-to-end projects, and that is what we are trying to cover in iNeuron. We are developing so many products, so many end-to-end projects, and we are giving it to the students of ours who are actually able to do it and also be able to make a successful career transition. And apart from this, as you know, that data science courses are usually very costly. So
Yes.
because of that, we are bringing up that affordable courses where we are giving live sessions probably for 6 months in just 20, 30, $40 so that many people will be able to use that particular opportunity.
That's an amazing opportunity because these days, yes, there are YouTube channels and there's so many resources online, but I think to package things up and actually deliver live sessions at such a low cost, I think that's such a great service to the community. And I'm sure that's why you have so many people, so many fans here say you're an inspiration. And a lot of people commented that they've been using those courses to get into the space and to learn more. So that's really great. Wish you all the best with your journey because it looks like you're doing really great work there. Question here from Tableau or Power BI? Quick, thick one. What's your favorite?
My favorite probably is Tableau. I've also worked with Power BI. It depends on the company. See, suppose if your company is going with Azure, I think they will probably use Power BI because it is an Azure project. So depend on cloud platforms also. Probably in one of my previous company, they used Tableau. In some of my previous company, they used Power BI since the entire cloud was a foundation. It depends on the company.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I personally love all of the data visualization tools. That's the area I focus in the most is data visualization, data storytelling, and I've been exploring over 20 different tools that are out there. There's a tool for everyone, and I think it all depends on what you're comfortable with, what you're used to. They are very similar, and a lot of times, like you said, it depends on what the company is using. I think once you learn one, it's pretty easy to pick up another one. Okay, question from Anna Maria. How can you build a project to showcase your SQL skills?
Probably plan for a web scraping project. I'll tell you one example. Probably you're going into data science. There is a web scraping project. You scrap all the data, try to store it in some SQL database, try to pull that data from there, try to create an end-to-end application which does like that. Try to create a search engine which will pull the data from the SQL. It can be done very easy.
Great, thank you. Question from Matt. So he's asking if you see any form of age bias or ageism into breaking into data science.
As I'll give you one perfect example. Recently, one of a student, I should not say student at least, he was 20 plus years experience. 20 plus years experience in UK is become a director in one of the company who is handling this entire AI projects. And he was able to do it from the course. So as people say, age is just a number. Yes, it is a number. You cannot limit yourself. Anything that you want to learn, you can definitely learn. Yes, there are some techniques. And remember, a person who is 15 years, 20 years experience probably is into his 45, 46. But understand how much experience he has. Probably he has worked in some other domain. How many domains he may have covered. That is the most important. That is the reason why that specific student became a director of the entire AI projects.
And I think it goes the other way as well. We recently uncovered a student who just turned 12 years old, and he's this robotics prodigy genius that he was also discounted for being too young and maybe, oh, you don't belong in this program. And he basically created his own company. He just graduated high school and college at the same time at the age of 12. So Mike Weber, for those who might not know him, definitely look him up as well. So I think it goes both ways. And I think it's all about owning your own future, owning your career, and really learning the skills. You're never too young or too old to learn these skills. Just put your passion into it. So thank you. Question here from Satika. What is your opinion in terms of shifting companies? So do you think people should stick with one company for a long time, or do you think it's okay to hop from one company to another, or maybe increases in salary or opportunities?
This definitely, it completely depends on you. If you're happy with your company, if you're happy with the hype that you're getting, probably with respect to the work that you are getting, if you're getting proper promotions, if they're taking care of you, definitely stay with that specific company. If not, You know that drill. You definitely, you're working 100%, you're working 120%, but you're not getting that much respect or that much promotional activities and all, probably a hike and all. I think you should leave.
Yeah. I remember early in my career, I had a job for 1 year and then I shifted to another job. And exactly in 1 year, I was asked to go to another company. And a few people advised me not to because they're like, oh, that no one's going to hire you. It looks like you're hopping around. And my husband actually told me that I should not take that advice. He said, clearly somebody wants to hire you right now. So what are they talking about? You're being offered a job as we speak. And I'm like, yeah. So I was glad that I didn't feel the need to stay there for 5 years because I probably would not have progressed the way I did by hopping.
Yeah, I'll give you in my 7 years of experience, probably in my previous 7 years of experience, I've switched 5 companies because I got good opportunities. I suggest that if you're getting good opportunities, go for it.
Yeah, life is too short to just stay somewhere just because you think you have to stay somewhere, unless you really like it. And sometimes within a company, you could stay 20 years and have 20 different jobs because they allow you that flexibility to learn and grow. And others like to have that one job for 20 years, and that's fine as well. I think it's go without what with your preference. All right, a question here from Ramit. Can't wait to hear this. Your three favorite YouTubers.
Okay. One is an Indian guy. His name is Code with Harry. Okay. Probably he uploads every technology, probably videos in his YouTube channel. Okay. And definitely so many videos. I just saw his YouTube channel. Like it's like overall IT experience in just in one pillar. He knows CSS, HTML, he knows machine, you know everything. Everything was covered over there. Probably second person is the YouTube channel Sent Dex. I used to like his channel. Probably a word of. And third is Corey Schaffer. The YouTube channel is also pretty much amazing. We favorite data.
Okay,
The question was three favorite data scientists, right?
three YouTubers, three favorite
Sorry.
YouTubers.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
these three people are my favorite.
There was another question about three favorite data scientists, so you're right. That's not the one.
Oh, I thought that I was talking. Okay, three favorite data scientists. Definitely my company CEO, Sudhanshu Kumar, is an amazing guy with respect to the knowledge that he actually has. Again, I'm not talking about the education thing and all, but yes, he has that much amount of knowledge where he is implementing so many things as such. Data scientist, more if I talk about other two, no favorite as such, but yes, I like to consider I have a good amount of friends who are good data scientists who are able to help me out when I had some kind of worries. It's not like I know everything. I have to lack in some of the thing, and definitely we need to take help of friends.
Great. All right. So speaking of favorites, what are some of your favorite books that you would recommend? I guess we can keep it data science, or if you have favorite books that are maybe outside of this field as well, feel free to recommend.
So recommending some books is with respect to ONIE publication. They have some amazing books related with machine learning, deep learning, data science. Again, I'll not talk about just authors and all, but probably most of the books that they actually come up in their publication, it is pretty much amusing. We think we can follow ONIE. And they have some amazing subscription plan, which is basically yearly plan where you'll be able to accept every book that they have.
And did you mention that you wrote a book as well?
Yeah. So it was long back. Now the copies are not available because it has been outdated. So probably I need to take out time and write the new one.
You're so passionate, it would probably take you 3, 4 hours, right, to write a book.
I have a lot of things to do nowadays. I have to handle a company now. So
Yeah, I understand. Great. Okay, question from Amina. If you want to start building an assistant, do you recommend starting from scratch or using a tool such as Rasa that will provide some pre-trained model?
if you are basically in terms of learning something, I think developing from scratch should be an option. But in companies, whenever you are trying to solve this kind of problem statements, what they do is that they usually create it from scratch. It is good to know from scratch, but yes, definitely if you want to use some kind of tools, Rasa is one amazing tool. You also have some tools with respect to provided by AWS, Google Dialogflow and all. Those tools are also. But for in terms of learning, I feel you have to go from scratch for the first time.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Well, leads asking, so back when we were talking about switching jobs, so once switching too many companies in a short span of time put a bad impression on your resume, and how would you explain this to interviewers?
You just have to say the interviews that you've got some amazing opportunities, and you have to convince them. Like they may be thinking, okay, you may again switch after probably 1 year after working in this company. No, you should tell them that no, this is the activities that I probably did. I got this specific opportunities, this much hike, so I made a switch. And again, opportunities should not be left. Whenever you get an opportunity, you should go ahead with it. That is what you should see then.
Yeah,
If it's
yeah. I
one.
like I said, I agree with you. I had 1 year jobs, 1 year jobs, and then at some point I had 8.5 year jobs. But within that, I shifted my role several times.